Candlepin Stars and Strikes is brought to you in part by Ray's Hair Replacement Center, Bedford Commons, Bedford, New Hampshire. TV 50 Sports and the New Hampshire Candlepin Bowling Association present Candlepin Stars and Strikes. From Sandy's Bowling Lanes in Wyndham, it's the Stoneham Cooperative Bank Mixed Doubles Championship.
Gonna split it. Look at this. Yes! Oh, wow. Right in the pocket.
My goodness.
Oh, there was never a doubt about that one.
Good looking ball.
Yeah.
And now your hosts for Candlepin Stars and Strikes, Doug Brown and Dan Murphy.
Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Sandy's Bowling Lanes for Candlepin Stars and Strikes as we wind down our 1986-87 season, and we wind it down with our final ladder of the year, which is mixed doubles. And so far, it's been dominated by the team of Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner.
Yes, they bowled super. Last 2 weeks ago was Jackie Sterner who kind of carried the team. Last week, Steve Vadney did most of the marking. This week, Pat Pay, Pat Kerr. Challengers. Should be another exciting one.
All right, let's meet the bowlers. First of all, there are the challengers right there. Our number 3 seeds, Pat Pay and Pat Kerr.
Yeah, Pat Pay, of course, we mentioned a couple months ago he was on and strung 4 400s in a row before losing to Billy Gover. Carries 129 average. Pat Kerr from Merrimack, 105 average. First time on the show for Pat Kerr, and coupled with a veteran like Pat Pay, much like Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner.
Well, if you've watched the show the last 2 weeks, you've seen a lot of these two folks, but there's a look at them once again if you haven't. Jackie Sterner and Steve Vadney with 2 wins in a row.
Yeah, Jackie struggled a little bit last week. The week before, she was superb. So Steve's hoping she's going to come back this week strong, and it should be real interesting to see this format go.
All of it brought to you, of course, by the Stoneham Cooperative Bank. Pleased to have them with us for this Ladder Championship Series. And we have $40 in the bonus ball contest coming up later in the show. We're going to get right to the match, though, with the first string right after these words. Don't go away. All right, here's where we are before we move into the bowling. Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner, our number 5 seeded team. 2 weeks ago, they knocked off Rick Barrett and Lois Queen. And then last week, they beat John Patorsky and Carol Moran. So now they'll go for their 3rd win in a row against our number 3 seeded team. And then, of course, next week, waiting in the wings, our number 2 seeds, Clarence Davis and Tony Marie Baldinelli. And the top seeded team, Gary Duffett and Carol Downey. That, of course, in the Ladder Championship match 2 weeks from today. But for right now, it's time for Pat Pay to step up on lane 32 and get this match started for us. Pat Pay and Pat Kerr teaming up.
Ooh.
Well,
1-8-9. Have an auspicious start for Pat Pay. To just run down his last appearance for us on a regular men's format.
so he takes an 8 in the first box.
He started out with a win over John Burke, 418, 355. Then he met Mike Brutzis, 408, 376. Let's go back a little ways. I missed 2 matches. Rick Kajecki was his first victim, 416 to 373. Then Bob Mazer, 446, 356. Then John Burke, 418, 355. Mike Brutzis, 408, 376 before losing to Billy Gover, 379, 337. Had quite a streak there, Pat Pay.
And his very first appearance with us, which was back in January of '85, he also had a 400, a 428 against Scott Williams, who threw a 407 that day. Pat starts off with 18 for 2, and that brings up Steve Vadney. Well, this is nothing new for Steve. He's been known for stringing together victories here on Stars and Strikes. This is the first time he's appeared in doubles competition, and he's now run his overall record to 12-3. That is more wins than anyone else. And Steve will probably wait to hit the button, and he does, but it'll be an 8 box.
Steve turns around as soon as he threw that one. He knew it was going to be off to the left. Nice ball there.
Almost. All even after 2. And now it'll be the ladies' turn. Making her first appearance on the show, Pat Kerr from Merrimack. Pat carries a 105 average. Pat Pay and Pat Kerr combined for a roll-off score of 1278. And of course, 10 strings total, 5 each in singles competition. And that 1278 was good enough for 3rd seed. However, it was only 1 pin more than Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner had in their combined score. They ended up in a tie for 4th, and then eventually 5th after losing a 1-string roll-off. So that 1 pin saved Pat Pay and Pat Kerr having to roll 2 extra matches just to get to this point. And of course, now we're moving up into the big money, and you start moving up into those first 3 seeds, you guarantee yourself a pretty good paycheck regardless of what you do. Jackie Sterner, who had such a great week 2 weeks ago, cooled off a little bit last week. Starts off with a 10 and a 1-pin lead for the team. And Jackie will have a spare leave now on the 4-7. A couple of pieces of wood out front. Jackie carrying that same average as Pat Kerr has at 105.
And she covers that 4-7 for first mark of the match for both teams.
Once again, Pat Pay. Pat altogether has 7 wins on the program. He's 7-2. The only 2 guys to beat him were Lee Brown and then Bill Gover in that ladder championship match we were talking about. A slow start for the team of Pat Pay and Pat Kerr.
Spread eagle minus the 7-pin. Scotch mixed doubles. If you haven't joined us the last few weeks, as you have probably picked up, the men start off the 1st and 3rd games, and the women will start off the 2nd, bowl 2 consecutive boxes. Then the partner comes up for the next 2 and fills the mark if they have any, like Steve just did there with only a 3. It's enough to grab a 7-pin lead after 4 frames.
Oh, watch out, just caught it. The key for Vadney and Sterner, their first 2 weeks on the show, was that they were able to get off to a quick lead. And both weeks, the first week they led by 34 after the first string. Last week they led by 24. And then good second strings just built on the lead, and by the time it was the 3rd string, school was pretty much out. 7, 8, 9 with wood.
But the 2 pieces are not together, so it could cause a problem. Better off having them frozen. There, that's what happened. This piece of wood that's left on the deck did not move at all.
Ten-pin lead after 6. Pat Kerr slipping off to the right. Pat from Merrimack. She and her husband Albert have 5 children, almost a spare there. Children Patricia, Rebecca, Albert Jr., Robin, and Christopher. And Pat works at the U.S. Postal Service.
She came in second in the women's side of this roll-off with a 6:13. Only one to beat her was Tony Marie Baldinelli with 6:27. And as we mentioned, each had a separate roll-off, men and women. The highest score for the men was coupled with the sixth place woman, and then the total scores of both bowls was combined, and then that score determined how they were seeded 1 through 6. The highest, of course, being number 1 seed. And again, Pat Kerr and Pat Pay still looking for their first mark of the match.
70 through 8. Marianne Kelly, of course, working the big scoreboard for us during this Stoneham Cooperative Bank Mixed Doubles Championship. I'll bet they didn't tell Marianne when she became the assistant treasurer down at the bank that this would be part of her job.
There you see the combined roll-off score of Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner.
And a nice spare for Jackie.
1, 3, and 10. Piece of wood in behind the 3, which helped. It's a little heavy on the head pin, but the wood you saw, use it effectively to clear the 10 pin. Good-looking ball. Oh, boy.
Well, it's Jackie's turn again this week.
That's right.
They're alternating.
2 weeks ago, Jackie was just unbelievable, and today starting off the same way. 2 weeks ago, she bowled 14 frames and had 7 marks.
And she's 3 for 4 so far this week.
It's so important in this type of format is to get that first mark for the team up there. It seems to relax both bowlers. Don't forget, you bowl 2 boxes and you have to wait for 6 frames before you get back up there again. And again, I mentioned 2 weeks ago, Scotch mixed doubles scores have a tendency to be lower, as you can see here, but long ways from over.
To see a 400 triple in this format would be a really outstanding score.
Oh,
and
nice
there's a
shot.
great spare by Pat Pay, and one they really needed.
A la Pat Pay a few weeks ago. 2-4 off the wall, coming over and clearing out the 6 and a 10. Fine shot. That'll help the team.
Oh, there, they needed that.
Yeah.
It's still just a 99 string, but it could have been a lot worse, and that's 20 very, very important pins for the team of Pat Pay and Pat Kerr. Steve Vadney now to fill a strike left by Jackie Sterner. Watch out! Oh, I thought he had them all.
Boy, everything but the 6. 6 was never even touched.
No problem there on the spare.
And again, first game is so very important to Jackie Stern and Steve Vadney. They always grab the lead. Nice. Oh, well, same shot that Pat Pay had just a few minutes ago. 2, 4, 6, and 10. But without the spare strike, the last box for Pat Pay.
Right.
You look at another 10 pins onto the lead.
It'll still be over 20.
But well within range.
125 for Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner, and once again they jump to an early lead by 26 this time after 1 string. We'll be back with the second string of action here at Sandy's. Don't go away. Middle string here at Sandy's. Pretty good crowd on hand for this mixed doubles match. Next week in the semifinal match, of course, whichever team survives this one will go on to meet Clarence Davis and Tony Marie Baldinelli.
Scott leads to the counter, please. Scott leads.
The team of Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner leading by 26 pins coming into this middle string.
One, 2, and 7 outside. Yes.
That's the tough way on that particular shot. Made it look easy, though. That's Jackie's 5th mark. Make it her 4th mark. 5th for the team. Pat Kerr looking for her 1st mark of the day.
Sliding by, picking off the 7 pin. Disappointing 6 for a start for Pat.
Ooh, got a little break there.
It's got to be on the head pin now. Looks good going down. Oh, boy.
Wow.
No luck.
Oh, Steve Vadney comes up now to fill in that mark. And he will add to the lead. And he adds 7.
6, 9, and 10. See if this wood decides to settle down, or where it decides to settle down.
Yes.
Nice.
Using the wall.
Drove the ball through the pin. It's lying down into the 6 and 9, and the 6 pin carries the 10. Wants the 5 to go here, but it's going to have another shot. Delicate. Wood and the 5 pin at the same time. Well, now he's got a piece of wood in behind. Same type of shot. Wood behind the 5 will kick forward. No, didn't catch enough of it.
Nice try. Take 10.
9 box for Steve, 51 through 4. Pat Pay now coming up, and I want to acknowledge a letter that we received not too long ago from Jerry Baker in Portsmouth, and Jerry represents many people who have asked this question, both in person and on the telephone and through the mail. And he was asking particularly about Roger Marcoux, who was with us several weeks back, and asking about the fact that sometimes the bowlers, where they stand, they move over and they block the view of the pins. And the question is always, well, why can't it be moved and so forth? And the simple answer to that is, and I want to address this because we've been asked by so many different people, and that is there are so few bowlers who actually stand to that extreme side of the lane and actually block the view that it wouldn't make sense to move things for the 1 or 2 occasional bowlers who do it. And in the limited space that we have available, it's
Almost impossible to do so anyway.
Right. So that is the reason. It only happens once in a while because only an occasional bowler has that extreme approach off to one side that stands in front of the camera. In any event, now that we've solved that, Pat Pay with a spare up in the 4th, and Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner still hanging on to the lead. And we'll be back with more after these messages. Jackie Sterner.
Hey, Jackie, let's have a big one.
Close to a lob, but just short of the lob line. Dennis Noel handling the line for us again this week.
Trying to corral the 4 horsemen. Oh, just missed that head pin.
Take 10.
Right on it for the 10.
4 and 7 this time.
Just missing the object. And we're going to have Dennis go down and check that piece of wood. Dennis is very intense on the lob line. He hardly takes his eyes off it.
We had to yell and scream at him. Dennis, check that. I think we woke him up.
I think that might be out of play. We'll see. Yep, it is. That'll give Jackie a clear shot.
Dennis does a fine job on that lob line. Tough job. Many times it's nice out. Many times it's like calling a base runner out or safe. The call has got to be made immediately, and it's not easy. He does a good job out there.
Not only that, but combat pay sometimes for going down there in where the ball return is. Yeah. You never know what might happen. Eight fill for Pat Kerr and a chance for another spare. And the team could use 2 or 3 in a row. Slipping by.
Pat is one of those bowls that are in the extreme, but it's to the left side of the approach, not the right side. She stands right next to the ball return on the left-hand lane, right-hand lane.
Interesting, too, as you can see there, she holds a towel in her left hand.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a good-looking ball there. Oh. Not too much to show for it. 3, 6, 4, and 7.
See bowlers once in a while that will hold a ball in their offhand, but I don't know if I've ever seen one hold a towel in the other hand.
It used to be, a lot of bowlers used to hold the ball in the other hand, but many of them got away from that now. And one of the greats, in fact, his daughter's coming on next week, Tony Baldinelli used to hold 2 balls, 1 in each hand before, as he delivered.
And Pat will get out of that with a 9 box. Steve Vadney now. Steve has 2 marks to his credit, 6 for the team, and he'll shoot at the 1, 3, 10. No wood.
Too heavy on the head pin.
We talked last week about how high the scores were down in the men's roll-off. I'd have to go back and check it, but Clarence Davis came in 6th in the men's roll-off with a 6.59, and I think that's been good enough to win several roll-offs that we've had.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. The scores were relatively high for the men's side of this roll-off.
That piece of wood is going to roll off to the gutter, I believe. Yep. That'll save Dennis a trip. And Steve Vadney will now look at the 8, 9, 10 with plenty of wood. This could go. Nope.
It's 10.
So the marks are a little tougher to come by here in the middle string. And Pat Pay and Pat Kerr with a chance right here with the 2 open frames for Steve to make up some ground. And Pat buries it, leaving the 4-pin.
Can't remember exactly which match it was when he had his streak of 400 just recently, but it looked like he wasn't doing anything, and all of a sudden he threw the triple strike and really changed the complexion of the match and just threw his hands up there. He knew as soon as he threw it, missed the 4-pin for the spare, and so easy on the
Pat now on lane 31, and he's got another 9-pin drop, and wow, that really is 18 pins right there, because if he had had the spare, that's 9 on the fill and another 9 drop, so that's really costly. Picks this one up, though.
Seems like so many times that happens. If I miss an easy spare, I keep saying to myself, well, watch this. It's going to be 8 or 9 on the next ball. It really make you feel bad about missing the easy spare.
Dan, we've talked the last couple of weeks about this format and the unusual pressures that it brings because of the fact that you're sitting a lot of the time rather than bowling. There's one other element, too, that I think is important to mention, and that is the fact that where it's a team competition, there's that element of kind of feeling like you're letting down your teammate if you don't fill a spare properly or fill a mark properly and so on.
That's a tough thing to get over, too. I bowl a lot in doubles and teams and stuff. There's always one or two of us, figures let the other one down. But I guess the good team is the one that says, hey, could happen to me, could happen to you. And hopefully it won't, and you both go together, but it doesn't always happen.
9 drop for Jackie Sterner, the 8-pin.
Got to come back for just enough.
Jackie will fill her own mark here. That's her 5th of the day, 7th for the team.
And this is the only situation where a bowler will fill his or her own mark. It's in the last frame. And fills it with a 6.
For a 114. Now, Pat Kerr is working on a spare.
One 3 pocket leaves herself the diamond. 2, 4, 5, and 8.
Just sliding left. Pat's looking for her first mark of the day, and if she were to get it over here in the 10th frame, she would just about even up this second string. And of course, the team of Pat Pay and Pat Kerr were trailing by 26 coming into this second game.
To the right. A little off balance that time when she released the ball at the foul line.
So Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner will again have a pretty sizable lead going into the 3rd and final string. As the totals go up on the board, it will be 239 for Sterner and Vadney, 203 for Pay and Kerr. We'll be back with the 3rd and deciding string right after these messages. Pat Pay will start things off here in the 3rd string. He and his teammate Pat Kerr trailing by 36 pins. And they're in no different condition than their 2 predecessors, 2 teams that came before them. Steve and Jackie have been putting the pressure on. That's the way to start it. You're going to come from behind.
Just a little full. Almost hit that 1-3 pocket. Leaves himself at 2, 4, 6, and 10. Oh, nice try.
That was very close. When he first let it go, I really thought he had a chance to clip that 2-pin. Steve Vadney has 2 marks on the day. Well, that time you probably saw it. The head pin flew right up and over. And instead of kicking out 2 or 3 of those pins in that cluster, it only took out the 9-pin.
Pulled it out the 3, 5, and 6, but left the 10. And so lose 6 pins to their lead, of their lead, I should say.
Making it 30.
Thanks, Doug. Let's try to subtract. I can get had the right shoe off, but I needed the left one. Three and 6 for Mark. Oh. Picked out the front one.
Steve doesn't miss many like that.
No, in that one you say, well, the object pin was the 3, and that's what you want to hit. And fortunately, just a little too full.
Steve opens with a pair of 10s. Pat Kerr now.
That would look nothing else to put a couple marks up there for her partner, Pat Pay.
Well,
1, 2, and 10.
It'll go, certainly. Little piece of wood sliding in to help out. And no.
Target with that one.
For the spare, and it won't go. Wow. 6-pin. Couple of 9s. Pat leaving the door open for Jackie Sterner. Now let's see. It's going to be the 3, 5, 6, and 10 with wood.
And with a moving 6-pin.
And it's still moving and still standing. Pin was tapped, but it won't go over. Now,
tapped and tipped and still standing.
And now that wood's going to be a problem, perhaps. We'll see.
It's got a couple pieces there, so always unpredictable when it's pointing at you like that. I think that the second piece actually helped her a little bit there. And
that is Jackie's 6th mark of this match, and it comes in the 4th box, giving the team of Sterner and Vadney 30 with a mark up. Pat Pay and Pat Kerr with some catching up to do. We'll see if they can catch fire in time when we return on Stars and Strikes. Don't go away. Pat Pay. Pat co-holds a couple of records here on Stars and Strikes. 4 strikes in 1 string. And 7 strikes in a match. Several people have done both of those things.
Well, he tried to split the 3 and the 6, and the wood would have helped him with the 7, but
and he'll wait for that wood to slide over. It may help him. It'll be a 9 box. Pat has rolled 5 400 triples in his 9 previous appearances, and there's a big strike.
That's one of the reasons why he's done that. It's a 1-3 pocket, and no way the pins are going to stand up this time.
His 2nd strike of the day. Now Steve Vadney working on Jackie Sterner's spare, and he goes right through the middle for just 4.
Very interesting if Pat Kerr gets up and throws another strike. Change the complexion of this match in a hurry. Nice try by Steve Vadney.
Steve waiting for a piece of wood, and now it's going to turn right where he didn't want it.
And all that waiting for nothing.
And that's what happens. So an 8 box, and it's all even here in the 3rd string through 5. But remember, Sterner and Vadney came in with a 36-pin lead. Now Steve is opposite that strike.
almost has one of his own.
You running in the Boston Marathon tomorrow, Dan?
Well, I've been training, Doug, and I don't know if I'm quite up to that distance yet. I went up to about 20 miles. And it takes me about 3 weeks. That's because my car doesn't run that fast.
That's right. That's right. Ran 10 miles a day for 2 weeks and then found you were 140 miles from home, right? Pat Kerr filling the strike with a 7.
Again, there's the problem right now is the head pin should go down that first ball and having a tough time missing it, and then it becomes the object pin and miss it again. Can't get any momentum that way. There's a good-looking ball by Pat Kerr.
There's the one she's been looking for. The 610. A little help from the wood.
Oops, just sliding by to the left.
That'll do it for Pat Kerr on the day, making her first appearance with us. And now Jackie Sterner for her final 2. She's working on a mark. Beautiful pocket hit. Whoa. Wow.
I guess that describes it. A wow out of both of us. Here we see the replay, and I'll say it again. Wow.
Looking for 2. Shoot at the 6-7 this time.
Stoneham Cooperative Bank certainly does well with Jackie Sterner as a participant on the show and spokesman for the bank, who say, at least on the lane, she is. She's doing herself proud, doing very, very well. I gotta ask her if they gave her that week off. And she picks this one up. No, we won't even mention it.
Jackie's done it again, though. She's bowled 14 boxes and has 7 marks, just like 2 weeks ago.
Well, you mentioned that 400 triple is pretty tough in this type of format. She goes 7 again, and Steve Vadney catches fire. They'll go to 400.
Yeah, they're still taking turns.
Yeah.
Pat Pay now. It's got to be strikes to have any chance at all.
5, 6, 9, 10. Piece of wood next to the 5. I think he'll try to play. I don't know if it's back too far or not, but now he's going to play the outside one, the front one. Well, next week, what we got here? Clarence Davis and Tony Marie Baldinelli.
And they've both won ladder championships here on Stars and Strikes. I take that back. Clarence Davis lost his ladder championship match, but to Tom Surratt, but he did throw a 395 in the match.
Oh boy, that's sliding by. But again, Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner will be victorious. It'll be 3 in a row for him.
Steve Vadney for his final 2. And a spare. He'll be up over 350 again.
Outside, 1, 2, and 10, or 1, 3, and 10. So finish with a flurry here. 5 and 10, and the wood just turned nicely. If he's on the 5, it should be no problem.
Jackie Sterner has earned herself the privilege of rolling our bonus ball again this week, as Steve has his 5th mark there, but Jackie has 7. And 2 weeks ago it was a 379 for this team. Last week a 350. And this week it'll be a 373 with a 134 final string for the team of Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner. Handshakes all around, and there's the story. Another win, 3 in a row for Sterner and Vadney, this time over Kerr and Pay. We'll be back to talk to all the bowlers and go for $40 in the bonus ball contest right after we take these messages. Don't go away. All right, we're back here at Sandy's, and they've made it 3 in a row. The competition, of course, gets tougher. It's tougher to string those wins together after you get 2 or 3, but we'll see if they can continue. Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner still alternating and getting the job done.
Yeah, bowling really well as a team, too. Every other week, it seems the other one gets more marks than their partner, but they seem to work well together, and they seem a lot more relaxed the last couple of weeks, too. Next week, another match, you never know, but they're tough right now.
We talked briefly during the show about the fact that when you're bowling with a partner like this, I imagine it's kind of like doubles in tennis. You have to feel like you really have to kind of carry your share of the load.
Well, you really want to feel like you're contributing to the team. I guess you got to get to that point where both of you realize that one can have the off day. I hope it doesn't happen, but if you get that added pressure feeling, I don't want to let the other person down. There's enough pressure throwing that ball 60 feet trying to hit those pins rather than worry about your partner.
All right, let's talk to all the bowlers here and give away some money. First of all, let's bring up Pat Pay and Pat Kerr, our runners-up. Of course, they came in as the number 3 seeds, and they were guaranteed to split $125 in cash, and that's what's going to happen. We'll give away all the prizes here first. Pat, first for you, the check and the runner-up plaque from the N&R Trophy Company of Winchendon, Mass. And Pat Pay, your share also. And I know you would have liked the things to turn out a little better, but your first appearance, and we're happy to have had you here.
Yes. I'm glad to be here. Maybe I can make it again.
All right, we hope to see you again, Pat. And Pat, you've been here many times before, and it's tougher bowling this format than it is the other one, I know. But you had some marks, just not enough breaks when you needed them.
Well, in this type of bowling, you got to hit together, and we just weren't there today. That's all.
Well, we appreciate you both being here. A good match, and enjoyed having you. We hope to see you both again real soon.
Thank you.
All right, Pat Pay and Pat Kerr are runners-up, and now. If Dan Murphy can lift the box one more time, we will see if we can give away some money here on the bonus ball. Jackie Sterner on lane 31. And let's wait. It'll be 6. And Steve and Jackie come on over here for second and see if we can't get a match. It is not a match for Edgar Barron. Edgar's guess was 7. Edgar from Suncook, New Hampshire. So Edgar will be receiving a TV50 NHCBA desk pen in the mail, and the jackpot will go up to $50 next week. And you guys will be back next week. Nice job once again.
Thank you.
Now, are you planning this in advance? So you say, well, okay, I'll take it this week, and then you can take it the next.
That's the way it works.
Steve, you both, once again, I think the key has been all 3 weeks. So we mentioned this before. You've gotten off to a good start. You get a lead in that first string.
Yeah, that's the big thing. You know, it takes a little pressure off you and puts it on the other team. And she's doing a great job. And if I can shoot, can we change the format, though? When I get a 9-pin drop, can she come up and shoot?
We'll have to talk it over with the lawyers and see if they agree with that. But we will have you back next week, of course. Tony Marie Baldinelli and Clarence Davis will be the opponents next week.
It's going to be tough.
It is. In fact, Tony Marie and Clarence have both been here before. They've both done very, very well, and I expect that's going to be a tough one.
Should be a good match.
All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Congratulations once again. Steve Vadney and Jackie Sterner, they've made it 3 in a row. And once again, the final score for this week's match, 373 to 310. And that sets it up for next week. Clarence Davis and Tony Marie Baldinelli are seated second coming in, and they'll take their shot.
That's sure. Tony Marie, of course, she's been around the lane since she was knee-high to a bowling ball, I guess. And Clarence has been on. He's done very well in the show himself. So it's going to be a tough team, and it gets tougher as it goes along.
All right, well, we will be back next week for the semifinal match of the Stoneham Cooperative Bank Mixed Doubles Championship. Of course, Sunday at 12 noon, Saturday at 5 o'clock, right here on TV50. For Dan Murphy and the whole TV50 sports crew, Doug Brown saying so long from Sandy's.
Candlepin Stars and Strikes has been brought to you in part by Ray's Hair Replacement Center, Bedford Commons, Bedford, New Hampshire.